If you're a court-appointed guardian, conservator, or perhaps both, there's no way around it. You have to file court reports. And these reports cover the care and finances of the individual. This is one of the big differences between a power of attorney and a guardianship. Under the power of attorney, the helper just does what he or she needs to do to manage the individual's affairs. But if you're appointed by a court, you have the obligation to file periodic reports and get court approval to stay compliant. Let's talk about that. What does court reporting mean? First, it's preparing all of the forms, and there are plenty. I like to think of it like a holiday dinner. The report is the turkey, and then there's a whole bunch of other forms that are the sides. All of the forms are online, but you may have to visit the state website and the county website to get the full package. Once all the paperwork is filled out and signed, it needs to be filed with the court. And anytime you file, you need to serve any notice parties. Next, you need to get the court's approval. The court will review the paperwork and sign the proposed orders, hopefully. Lastly, the clerk will issue updated letters of office with a new expiration date. And that is the goal, getting your updated letters and an order that approves of the Guardian and Conservator's acts during the relevant period. How often do you need to do this? For new guardians, the first report is usually due after the first 12 months, and we call this an annual report. If you do a good job the first year, you're not late, you're thorough, then you can request that the reporting period be extended to every 3 years, and this is what we call a triennial reporting period. You do this throughout the life of the individual, and then when the individual passes away, you do one final report. What's the due date? The first concept you need to understand is anniversary date. This is usually the date the guardianship or conservatorship was started. There's an order appointing guardian or conservator, and it's the date that the order was signed by the judge or commissioner. Let's say you went to court on April 10th, 2020, and got appointed as the guardian and conservator. This means that your anniversary date is always April 10th. Your first report would be due 12 months later, April 10th, 2021. The court gives you a little time to collect statements and file your report before it's become delinquent. Think of it like your taxes. Your tax year ends December 31st, but the IRS gives you until April to file your return. The courts aren't quite that generous, though. In King County, they give you 90 days before you start getting fined. And then you have to state on your next report that you were late, so don't be late. Can you do this yourself? Sure, plenty of people do their reports themselves. In King County, there's a guardianship review calendar where court staff and volunteer attorneys help people who are already very late. However, that's not who you want to be. As soon as your anniversary date hits, get your reports drafted and filed. It's pretty helpful having an attorney help you the very first report. And if you do that, ask the attorney for every piece of paper they prepared and filed. See if you can use it as a guideline for doing it yourself. Be aware that forms change, so always check the websites for updates. Here's a snip of the Washington State database with all the forms. If you're working with an attorney, use the Word document, not the PDF. This way, the attorney can edit your first draft directly. You'll also need to check the county database for local forms. These are needed to set the hearing before the judge or commissioner. Sometimes people think filing is enough. Think of filing as someone just taking that piece of paper and sticking it in a cabinet. It's there, but no one did anything with it other than just file it. So there's a need to get it before the judge or commissioner because you want a signature. That's the process that you need to take, and you can peruse the county database for methods to get a hearing. Or if your report is straightforward, you can try and submit it ex parte via the clerk, which means you don't have to show up live before the court. Again, instructions are on the county database and the clerk's website. What if you want some help? How can you minimize legal fees? First of all, fill out the report to the best of your ability. Someone has to describe the housing, medical, and mental state. This information has to come from you. The attorney doesn't have it. How much should you write? Well, not too much and not too little. That's not super helpful, but basically write more than you think you need. The attorney can always pare it down, but they can't easily build it up. The most time is spent on the financial accounting. Provide all bank statements, and even better yet, download it from your bank directly into a spreadsheet, which is a service provided by many banks. Make notes on any non-obvious transactions so the attorney doesn't have to guess or send you an email saying, "What was this?" The other way to reduce legal fees in your time is to simplify. When possible, reduce the number of financial accounts involved. You really only need one operating account, such as a checking account, where all the transactions happen. You could have a savings account which holds an exempt burial account, for example. But just remember that every account doubles or triples the amount of bookkeeping to keep this all straight. The next thing you could do is simplify the budget. If you reduce the number of transactions and one-offs, then the bookkeeping is a lot easier. For example, imagine a bank statement that just shows a Social Security check coming in and a room and board check going out. That would be a very simple accounting. Also, use a bank that keeps the data for you for a long time and offers downloads into a spreadsheet. It's very time consuming for an attorney to type this all in, and a download takes 5 minutes versus hours. I have a few favorites I could recommend. Well, I'm not sure if anyone thinks reporting is fun, but we do have lots of tips to make it easier for you. As per usual, consult with an attorney in your jurisdiction for advice specific to your situation. Thank you for watching this presentation of guardianship and conservator reports, and let us know if we can help you.